Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our webinar series. I'm Rusa Slina Idrus from University of Malaya. The webinar series today is part of the webinar conversation today is part of a series focusing on refugee issues in Malaysia. By looking beyond the framing of refugees as beneficiaries, here we highlight refugees as active participants in advocating and mobilizing for their rights and livelihood. Last month in our first webinar, we were in conversation with Mahima Krishnan and Saleh Sepas, co-directors of the 2020 Refugee Festival in Malaysia. We discussed the role of the arts, in particular the Festival for Advocacy and Engagement. You can find a recording of this conversation in the same YouTube channel. Today's webinar will be focusing on the amazing and inspiring work by the youth from the refugee community. We are delighted to have Abeera Abdulah and Hasan Al-Akra. Abeera is a student at the Refugee School, the co-founder and vice president of Project Stand Up, an initiative to promote gender equality and access and equal access to education for women and girls in the community. She is an innovator, being part of a team that developed a mobile app that connects the community. She's also an entrepreneur and a book author, all this before the age of 20. Hasan Al-Akra is a refugee rights activist and co-founder of the Al-Hasan Volunteer Network. He co-founded the volunteer network when he was just 15 years old in 2016. Aside from being busy organizing volunteers, mobilizing aid and support for the refugee community, and conducting youth empowerment training, Hasan is also currently studying for his bachelor's degree in education, having been awarded a prestigious scholarship to study at the University of Nottingham here in Malaysia. Welcome, Abeera and Hasan. Moderating today's conversation is equally dynamic youth leader and trainer, Divya Devi. Divya is a former student leader at our Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, University of Malaya, and currently works as a program officer with Team Selangor, an initiative by the Selangor state government that focuses on community empowerment through volunteerism. So the three of you have a lot in common, and I'm really delighted to be able to host this youth-to-youth conversation. So thank you again for all of you for being here. Before I hand this over to Divya, just a quick note for those following us live. You can post comments and questions for the speakers in the YouTube chat box next to this video. And I think with that, I will now hand over to Divya to moderate this session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lin, for the very amazing introduction. I'm pretty pumped myself to actually meet Abeera and also Hasan. So I was reminded that the session today is going to be very much a very casual conversation. So I hope that there's no tense in our shoulders, answering questions. So it's just pretty much going to be a very laid back session. So hi Hasan, hi Abeera, how are you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing good. How about you?
Cool. I'm doing good myself. Just finished a program, so I got back here to the office today and to talk to you guys. Amazing, though. Yeah.
Thank you for making the time. Yeah.
Thank you to you guys for coming on board and to share your experience. I've done a little bit reading about you guys. So very much, pretty much. Excited to actually know a little bit more in details on the things that you guys do, right? So I'll start on a very brief and introductory questions. I think I'll ask Hasan first. So Hasan, you are the founder, the founder, and also the founder of the Al-Hasan Volunteer Network. So there is a lot of there is a tendency to view refugee just as beneficiaries, recipient of aid, the receiving end for volunteer works. But the Al-Hasan Volunteer Network breaks this stereotype. Refugees, and here in particular you, working with youth, are the active volunteers serving refugees and unprivileged communities. Maybe you can tell us more about what Al-Hasan Volunteer Network does, and what are the current things that you guys do. Over to you, Hasan.
First of all, thank you so much, Ms. Rosaslina, and also Divya as well for doing this, organizing it, and Abeera, I'm looking forward to hearing your sharing later. So just to brief everyone, the Al-Hasan Volunteer Network AHV, I co-founded it together with my friend Farhana from Singapore in 2016, aiming to organize social projects for the communities, at the same time to empower the youth to volunteer and take action throughout these projects. So we have several units, or you can say departments in the organization. We have the healthcare department. Healthcare department is where from time to time we would organize a healthcare checkup. We will bring in doctors and medical students to do a free healthcare checkup for the refugee community. Um, so all of the medical students are volunteers, and the doctors themselves are volunteers, and they would provide, basic advice to the beneficiaries, and also provide the necessary medication and referrals and further assistance. In that will also include dental checkup from time to time. Um, Other than that, we have the emergency funds for medical cases for refugees who need immediate surgeries, emergency surgeries at government hospitals or any hospitals, basically. So we would raise funds for these and make payments, and so that the person can proceed to the surgery. We have had surgeries of children needing a heart surgery, children needing a kidney surgery, and these surgeries really cost about 70, 80,000 ringgit. Even some of them reach up to 100,000 ringgit. And the situation with the refugees, and there's no specific funder. So that is when we step in and we do the crowdfunding. So when we do crowdfunding, we let the youth do it. We basically guide them, and then our youth volunteers, basically, they're the one to help us like design the poster, create the content, help us with social media marketing and this kind of thing. So this is a healthcare department. The other department is we have the education department. So we go to refugee centers from time to time. We take in volunteers to do tutoring for the children. And not only that, but we also take the children out on trips from time to time, educational trips to the museum, to the even some fun trips like to the cinema, to sports events and this kind of things, just to engage with the children. Um, we also try to find sponsorships for refugees who want to pursue IGCSE exams. So because a lot of refugee schools does not provide, and even if it's provided, it's very limited. So we try to find private donors to help with these costings. So this is in the education. The next department would be the youth department. So we organize events for the youth only. We like recently we did a camp called Camp Hop. That's when I think Abeera, you came in, right?
Yes.
Was it you or was it you and Abdul Salam? I think.
Yeah, it was me and Abdi.
Yeah, you and Abdul. Yeah, so we invited them from Project Stand Up to come and give a session to the youth on being resilient and finding their own power. It was amazing session, by the way, and we're looking forward to collaborating with next camp. Yeah, so we organize this kind of event for the youth to empower them and give them resilience and skills as well. Um, the other department would be the livelihoods. So the livelihoods, we organize skills-based classes for the refugee. Mainly, it's mothers, but also there are men who join. It's sometimes baking classes, sewing classes, art and crafts classes, also marketing classes, computer classes. This kind of classes that will help add on a skill to them that they can make use out of it, and for them to try and earn an income. As we know, refugees are not allowed to legally work here, but I always tell them that doesn't mean you should just give up and sit at home, right? There's always a way, right? Even though the law doesn't allow you to work, there's always a way, and that's when we bring in the skills to help them with it. And yeah, so these are the main departments that we have and the main services that we do. We also support with the house rents, families who are facing eviction from their homes and facing becoming homeless. We raise funds to pay a deposit of a new house and they move in. We try to also from every year we would do a Mother's Day event. We bring in all refugee mothers for a celebration, and then Hari Raya Eid. We also do an Eid dinner where it's all with the cultural performances and food and sharing of cultures and traditions. Celebrating Eid basically. Yeah. So by doing all of this, we aim, we are okay. Like when volunteers come to us, they want to volunteer. We will give them two options. Option number one, either just volunteer on the day itself of the event and just leave afterwards, and that's it. Or option two, you become part of the organizing committee of that event itself. So when they choose to become the organizing committee, they don't just get the chance to volunteer, but they also have the chance to actually learn events management, learn, for example, how to manage a budget, learn how to raise funds, how to contact sponsors, how to write a proposal. So all of these skills that we train the volunteers to do, and they will run the event by themselves. Basically, we just guide them how to do it. So that is what we hope to do, not just to volunteer for a day and then leave with just the impact of volunteering. I'm not saying it's not good. It is the best actually to volunteer, but what else can be done, right? So one of the things that can be done is for them to take home with them skills that can actually benefit them. Yeah. And the inspiring thing is that most of the volunteers are youth, of course, but we also have volunteers who bringing their children. They're adults. They bring in their children, really young children, to volunteer with us. But also, what inspires me a lot is that refugee themselves volunteer at the events that we do. And most of these refugees are the ones that we have helped before, and now it's just a way for them to pay it forward, and that has been really inspiring to me too. Yeah. So basically, that is what we do, and yeah.
All right, that's very interesting brief about Al-Hasan Volunteer Network. Hassan has highlighted uh, what other departments there is in Al-Hasan Network, and how he mobilizes volunteers. And it's nice to see that there are people that have been receiving aid before and coming in, being a volunteer, and want to contribute back to the communities. I think that is a very good positive change of action that maybe we can actually inspire more youth in the future. So maybe we'll come back with Hassan later with more questions on the current projects, current activities. Right now, I think we can go to Abeera. Abeera, you are from Project Stand Up. It's an initiative seeking to solve gender equality problems with a focus on breaking barriers to education for girls and young women. Maybe you can tell us more about how Project Stand Up have started and the initiative works that you do in their organization.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So we started actually, Project Stand Up started back in 2016 when we used to study at Refugee school. And then inside of development studies class, the teacher asked why there's only two girls inside the classroom and eight boys. So some of the students answered because girls don't know much and all that. So of course the teacher wasn't convinced and asked the students to do their homework, which is to do a survey into the community and ask the reasons. So we've done that survey and we've recorded the answers actually in video, and we've submitted that video into OpenIBO Education and Emergencies Challenge. And surprisingly, we have won actually the third place globally and the first place in stand-up men category. And since then, we decided to develop our solution, which is one, the problem was because girls had competing responsibilities that they have to do along with their work at school and their studies. So, for example, they have to, the household tasks like cook and clean, take care of the young kids, and also study and do like studying. And we decided to bring a solution, an app that works like kind of like Grab, but instead of booking cars, you book champions. Champions are young people in the community who volunteer their time to bring gender equity and awareness into the communities, and also educate the parents, the youth, what it means to have equal opportunities to learn and participate inside the classroom and also outside. So we've developed that app, and then after we received the, I mean, we developed it with the money, the grant that we received from the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs, and then we've launched the app in 2019. We've done a pilot for 3 months where we included like the youth, the champions. Some of them used to go to Fiji school, and we've conducted trainings and like also helped facilitated the logistics of going to the homes and actually allocating tasks of for the champions to go to. And that was our first program. So we are like to like introduce you our team. So we are a group of 8 young people, mainly from Somalia, Libya, and Yemen. Also, we have 2 adults in our team that are from UK and USA. So our approach, the way we used to work as a team, is using some YAP ladder, which is Youth Adult Partnership, which is basically giving the youth and the adults equal voices and equal decision-making power over all the projects that we do. Also, having refugee-led action principles, which is giving us the priority as refugees to lead what we're doing, and also having a full decision-making power. Yeah, so since like 3 years, in these 3 years, we've developed that program that I've talked about, Champion Education Program, which was our first. And then after that, we've developed a youth leadership program. We also have another program called the Community Connectivity Fund Project. And lastly, we have also designed modular trainings that are like one-day workshops, like the one we did with like Al-Hasan right at the Camp Hope. And to go in details about our program, so I've explained the Champion Education Program. So the Youth Leadership Program, we have designed it after we have done the pilot on the Champion Education Program, because we've discovered there is like eager from the youth side to learn soft skills, because we were the first group in our community to learn these skills and actually implement and lead trainings and design and actually like launch an app. So the youth were really interested about that part and wanted to know more. So we thought, okay, how we can provide this opportunity for the youth in our community as well. So we've designed a youth leadership program with 4 modules in a period of 6 months, each focusing on like public speaking skills, what else, like how to do human-centered design, and like many other more. And then at the end, they are required to do a capstone project to showcase all these skills that they have learned and actually implemented their own. So we done the first pilot, I think, in 2019. They're still continuing and at the final stages of their capstone. And yeah, it was really inspiring journey to see. And the second program, the Community Connectivity Fund Program, it was actually, we were given the grant from UNCR headquarters in Geneva to design an app that allows the refugees to access information that they need. For example, where is the nearest health clinic that accepts refugees, schools, information on universities, all information designed for refugees to know. And we have designed it like early this year. We faced some difficulties in getting the information uploaded in our app because of many different challenges we had, but hopefully we are looking forward to overcome these challenges next year and actually launch it. So we didn't launch that app yet. It's a version 2 of our app actually. Yeah, and talking about the modular trainings, we have designed like one workshop, like one-day workshop. For example, the one we did at the Camp Hope was Power and Privilege for the youth. We also have a workshop on how to set up a youth hub space and how to like create policies and procedures for the hub. We also have like training designed on gender equity for the youth and for the community as well. So all of these things we have done like aiming at one goal in our mind and one vision, which is having more young people speak up and participate, particularly girls, in designing solutions to issues that matter most to them. And the way we hope to achieve this is basically through our three programs that we've done. So that's a
Oh, that's interesting. Abira, I have a question.
Mhm.
Just to pick up from your conversation just now, um, I went to your organization website, and I saw that the introduction video, at the very first of the introduction video, it's very rare to have a male youth, talking about women empowerment, women going in front and talking uh, about things. And even in your description just now, you talked about, mainly talking about all the youth, but also uh, didn't take out the fact that you are actually targeting on girls, on young women, right? So why is this important? How is it important to have like boys and young men involved in this kind of initiative?
Actually, it's a really, really important thing to have and a key to the success of our program. One is because to make a real change, you can't just focus on one side, which is like the women empowerment part, and then just delivering sessions to the women and empower them and all that. They have fathers, brothers inside the home that they don't even know what is this all about. So first, to get real change happen, we need to get both sides on the same page, each championing the idea of like we know that girls don't have that much opportunities because of like the competing responsibilities that they have at home, and also like many challenges, different challenges that the men don't face. So the boys in our team understand that and actually support that, and they're the ones who lead the by example, like for the other boys in our community. So if like a group of young men followed the same idea, each championing like and supporting girls to have these equal opportunities, the rest will just follow, and that's how we believe like a real change can happen.
Yeah, that's really interesting, right? To have like a project really looking into women empowerment, but at the other end, also actually really want to educate on empowerment, to actually believe that this space is also belongs to the women as well, right? So thank you so much, Abira, for your clarification on that end. So this question is on to Hasan. So you've talked about the sectors or the department there is in Al-Hasan network, volunteer network. Also how you have your volunteers on one program basis, and also those who really want to engage for a very long term, who you think that you can actually empower in terms of program management, and also, to have that added value into the volunteer. So I mean, we are all in a very tough situation right now with the COVID, with the pandemic hitting us. So a lot of NGOs has been going down to the ground to actually help, not to actually help the to the unprivileged. Maybe, yeah, Al Hassan Volunteer Network has been, doing any programs relating to it, and also how are you guys coping to, this unfortunate moments?
Um, Before the start of the pandemic in early January, February, I would say we have planned a whole lot of list of events that we want to do this year, and I'm sure a lot of our organization have done that as well. A list of events that we want to do, and of course the unexpected happened, the pandemic, and then the AIMSO started, so we had to postpone. But we were lucky; we did actually two events right before AIMCO. We had like we grabbed the opportunity. We did a movie day. We rented a hall, and then we managed to get a screen, and we watched Frozen 2 with about 200 refugee kids. Yeah, they really enjoyed it. It was really fun. So we did that right before the MCO announcement, and then MCO was announced, and we were We were, of course, everyone was in shock. It was really a stressful time for everyone. So we said it's okay. We will put those physical events on hold. Let's see what else we can do. So we have been receiving a lot of cases of refugees not having food at all because they have stopped from work after the MCO, and most of the refugees at that time, even if they work, even if they had a job, most of them will be earning a daily salary, right? They would be earning at the end of the day, and that money is the money that will use for them to buy food and provide on the table for their families. So when they don't have a job anymore, which means there is no income.
Mhm.
No income means there is no food. No food, starvation. Starvation can lead to sickness and death possibly. So that is when we started to deliver grocery aids to these communities. So we started doing an appeal. We collaborated with few organizations like Faith Free Market, Beyond Borders, and also Care Refugees, many other organizations, Philandior. So we all collaborated together to do our fundraising and purchase groceries to distribute at different communities. So we have distributed to over 2,000 families during MCO. A simple grocery basket that will have rice, oil, eggs, some vegetables, just a simple one. And so that was what we did. We said it's all right for the physical events to put on hold first, but for now, let's just continue with what is needed at this moment. And besides that, we have also receiving a lot of healthcare cases of either someone who needed a surgery, heart surgeries. We had a lot we had two children who needed heart surgery, and each one of them required 10,000 ringgit. And then we had others, so women who were in labor and no money at all to even pay the deposit. So that is when we step in to raise funds. So that's what we have been doing since the MCO, which is the raising money for groceries, to pay for groceries, and also the healthcare cases. Other than that, we have also received cases of refugees being evicted from their homes, right? They were not able to pay the rent because no job, of course. So landlords were threatening them to, call the immigration on them if they didn't evacuate. So they had to leave the homes, and that is when we try to raise funds and rent a new home for them, or sometimes we pay the pending amounts that needed to be paid to the previous landlord. But recently, last month, there was an announcement from DBKL and immigration warning landlords not to rent to refugees, right? And of course, the announcement does not say refugees precisely. The announcement says party, pendatang asing tanpa izin, right? Party, yeah. But a lot of people misunderstood and thought that refugees are party. But according to the law in Malaysia, refugees are not considered as illegals, right? But of course, the BKL misused that statement and released a warning to all landlords that if they rent out their homes to refugees, they will be fined. So as a Malaysian, of course, I would be scared. What if immigration found out that I'm renting to a refugee? So what I would do, I would go to the refugee and tell them to evacuate immediately. And that's what has been happening the past few months, especially in Selayang area with a lot of the Rohingyas refugees. So that is when UNHCR and a lot of other NGOs steps in to help provide temporary shelters for them. And I have worked also with some of the team as well to raise funds for some of these families to rent a new home. We try to negotiate with the landlords. We try to provide, statement that refugees they have a UN card doesn't mean they are illegals here. They are not under party. We need to that misunderstanding to be clarified. Yeah. So that was one of the biggest challenges that we've had during MCO, and alhamdulillah, it's been going well so far, and the situation has cooled down a bit. But another biggest thing that happened was the hate campaign, the hate campaign that was targeted at the Rohingyas. That was during MCO. So we as NGOs, for me, I believe that just because I'm a Syrian refugee does not mean I just represent Syrians, right? Just because I'm a refugee activist, I can choose who to present and who not to represent. I believe that refugees, we should all come as one, no matter what is your nationality. So I took on social media and I started advocating and raising awareness about the hate campaign. And in return, I got attacked on social media. I received a lot of death threats, really harsh words and comments, and even messages just for speaking up for the Rohingya community. But for me, I did not really care much because I know those people, all they know is how to talk. And so from there, we tried to, somehow raise awareness. So that is when we started doing webinars, online talks to eradicate this misconception and all the false information that has been shared widely about refugees here. So we're bringing experts, refugee leaders, and NGO representatives to speak in online webinars to engage with the audience and Malaysians to put in out there the word, the truth, that whatever false information has been going around is nothing but to create a negative image about the community. And yeah, so that is one of the things that we did during MCO. And now after MCO, the first event we did was a Camp Hope. Camp Hope, we aim to do it because we have received messages from some refugee parents saying that their children are going through depression, and some of them are thinking of even committing suicide. And that is when I discussed with the team, what can we do? And that's when we came with the idea of doing a camp called Camp Hope. It was a 2 days camp with sessions from different speakers, and we have done different activities and games. It was just basically to make them enjoy, have fun, meet new friends, and also learn some skills like art, craft, um, some stress management, teamwork, these kind of things. Even the session that Abeera and Abdi did from Project Stand Up, it made them some sort of realize their own power, and that was really beautiful to see. And after the camp finished, the funny thing is that they said, "Can we come tomorrow?" I say, "No, the camp has ended. Tomorrow there is no camp. It's just 2 days." They wanted more, and that was really beautiful to see. So next week, actually, we're taking them on a trip to a nature place for team building skills and activities. Yeah. So that is the first event we did after the MCO, yeah, and we're hoping to do more in the next few months.
Wow, that's great, and I'm a bit emotionally with the things that have been happened during the MCO period, and I think uh, more and more people are aware about the issues. I think maybe addressing the stereotypes or also the misconception about refugees and also party is something. It's going to be it's a long run thingy. So we really need to actually address to it. So it's great that Al-Hasan Volunteer Network has been doing so much, and it's nice to actually heard that with the Hope Camp, more and more people want to actually be involved and so we want to be very much actively involved after the whole lockdown, right? So we are actually facing the same in the organization that I'm also in. So we started doing more team building camps even this weekend, and people are really really looking forward after the lockdown. I mean, it's a blessing in disguise to actually have the lockdown, to actually people appreciating things like this. The interactions that we have with the community, with people in particular, right? I have two more questions for Hasan and also Abeera. But I would like to actually remind the audience, also prompting to the audience, if by all means, if you have any questions for Abeera and also Hasan, you can just write down in the comment section, and I'll ask the question to Abeera and also Hasan in a bit. All right. So I want to hear more from Hasan. Uh, you are a student from Nottingham University majoring in education. And I think you really, really see education as a catalyst to the change in the community. So, drawing from your own personal experience, what are some challenges faced by refugee youth? How can we provide better support to them, maybe in terms of education, or how do we want to better, building the community in a bigger perspective?
Um, personally, I consider myself one of the very lucky people to receive such scholarship in such an amazing university. Alhamdulillah, it's one of the greatest thing that have ever happened to me throughout my whole life. It was very unexpected as well, but we never know what God has for us, right? And so to address challenges, the access to tertiary education is very limited to refugees in Malaysia. And there's only about five or six universities or colleges in Malaysia that offer scholarship to refugees, collaborating with UNHCR. But even that is limited to a certain number, right? And it's not just everyone. Okay, once you finish all levels, then you can straight away go to college. It's, the process is quite complicated. You have to go through certain interviews. You need to meet certain criteria. And I think, especially for refugees, it has been a challenge because, a lot of them, the moment they finish secondary school, they just quit school and they work to support their families. And that is what I did actually in the past 5 years before I got into university. I haven't gone to school for about 5 years, from 2012 until 2016. I haven't been to school during that time. I was just working at the restaurant to help my family. And then I got the opportunity to study O levels, and that was the key that actually got me into Nottingham. That was, I mean, one of the things that got me into Nottingham. But I think having some sort of qualifications, such as the O levels itself, or A levels even, is already like one of the hardest thing step is already settled, right? You can say that, so that to move on to the next stage and next procedures. And as I said earlier, O levels is not available in every refugee school in Malaysia. It's only available at very, very few schools, and even then the waiting list is so long that a lot of refugee youth and teenagers have to wait for a few years in order for them to get into that school to finish O levels. And while waiting, we as an NGO, and if the family themselves found, maybe saved some money, they can take the exams on their own. They can study at home, do homeschooling, prepare for the exams on their own, or hire a private tutor if they have some money, right? If they have some savings, or if they find a volunteer who is willing to tutor their child. And then the person would just go and do the exams at the center that actually offer these exams, like British Council, or some other centers that actually provide the exams. But of course, that option is not available. Is not, I mean, it's not accessible for everyone, right? It needs financial and donors, right? When it comes to donors, I mean, I understand donors also tend to choose which one they would like to sponsor. Let's say we give them a list of 10 refugee teenagers who need sponsorship for levels. They would want to look at everything, at the background, the story, the person, and then they would choose which one. So it's not just simply, okay, here's one, and you choose any refugee youth that you want to know. They are the one to choose, and I understand, and that is totally all right. So, but donors are also, there is something we call donor fatigue, which means throughout all the projects that we've been doing, donors, yes, they donate, but it's not forever, right? And they can't be donating and supporting causes forever. That is what has been happening. So one of the most difficult challenge faced by refugee youth is, of course, access to tertiary education, and even before getting access to tertiary education, just to get that O levels, and then in order for them to proceed. But even that, the next challenge that we need to address is them having to work to support their families. Some of them, their parents are elderly and unable to work, or some of them have really young siblings to take care of. So even if they were given a scholarship and everything, it's no point of them actually, what do you call it, accepting it, if they have to work 12 hours a day, or they have all their responsibilities and everything. It can lead to other consequences, unless the person is really strong enough to actually deal with it, and to actually be strong enough to what do you call it, to take in all these responsibilities. So that is when, as NGOs, we step in to try provide job opportunities for the parents to either work from home, or even for the youth. Let's say that youth, this person is really good at marketing skills, right? So we try to give some jobs, marketing jobs to that person, so that they can earn an income, At the same time, they can focus on the education, so they don't have to worry about providing food for the families or for the younger siblings. So they can, 100% just focus on their education. Um, but it goes into circle. All the issues are connected. If no job, no income, no income, having young children to work, which leads to child labor as well. So this is one of the biggest challenges faced by refugees. Another challenge I would say is actually them feeling sense of belonging, and not just the youth, but refugees in general, even the adults. They don't they tend to feel, we always categorize them as others, right? And I mean, understand in society you categorize people. In any society you go to, there is categorization. And in Malaysia, refugees are categorized as just this group by themselves, right? And with all the stigma, with all the discrimination, with all the false information that's going on, they tend to be really lack of opportunities and chances and actually platforms for them to engage with the Malaysian society, right? And that what's making a lot of them feel helpless, feel they don't belong, feel there is no sense of home or belonging, and that is one of the issues that leads to depression, leads to causing self harm and so on and all the other issues. So one of the things to address this is to create more and more platform to engage both refugee youth and Malaysian youth to work together, and not just work together actually, but just engage with each other, share culture, share food, share traditions, and in a platform like the Refugee Festival, for example. The Refugee Festival is taking place every year. This year it was online, but hopefully next year it will be a physical one. I'm part of the organizing committee of the Refugee Festival, and I can tell you Refugee Festival is one of the best platforms in Malaysia to connect Malaysian and refugee societies together. And I'm looking forward to engaging youth, refugee youth, with Malaysian youth in certain programs and projects that hopefully in the future, so that hopefully we can break the what do you call it, the all the misrepresentation of the community and all the negative things that's been happening, and turn it into something positive that can create a better impact for both Malaysia and the refugee society here.
Thank you, Hassan. I mean, it's interesting, and I think it's a continuous work, to actually have that kind of engagement, to actually have, just instead of saying you and I, it's the we-ness that we want to create, people looking across race, across religion, across boundaries, or whatever things that might divide us. I think that is also some of the aspect has been facing by the local, the local as well, local Malaysian, in terms of different race and stuff. So I think it's still a long process for us to reach there. I think with refuge festivals, I think that is one of the platform that maybe we can create more programs as such to actually create winners and to promote culture and stuff. So thank you so much, Hassan, on this sharing. Uh, on Abeera, last question from me, hopefully. And I think I hope that we have more questions from our friends in YouTube. You've done amazing job, with your team, with project stand up, the stand up projects and stuff. So you're also an author, with us also, where can we get the book, the short articles, that the short book that you wrote, the short ebook that you wrote. You're also an social entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, and you were also featured in a podcast show. Can you tell us a bit can you tell us a bit more of the other projects maybe that you are currently doing, or any future programs that maybe we can look out for?
Yeah, thank you. So regarding the short book that I've written, actually, it was in 2018, and we were the first group out of the Fiji school student to actually create that book. So there was partnership between Petals publishing company and also the student to create stories and guide them through the process of writing and all that. And yeah, so my story was about like a young woman. and basically living inside a box, and a man called racism carries her, and it's like a fiction story about how this girl travels in Somalia and visited Saudi Arabia and also Malaysia. So in that short book, I also mentioned about the culture of these three countries. And the reason why I spoke about these three countries because they are those. It holds a special place in my heart because I'm from Somalia and I was born in Saudi, and also I'm here in Malaysia. Um, so yeah, I mean, hopefully, right now there is no place to view, but I might like look into ways to include that into our project stand-up website, where hopefully it might be available. And yeah, so regarding like what I hope to do and what are my what passions I have. So I do have a passion. I discovered since that book, I do have a passion for writing, and I'm looking forward to writing more stories and giving both this opportunity to myself and also for other youth to discover how to tell their stories to the world, because through stories is where we can connect and share as humans. So hopefully. Like looking into ways to how to do that. And I was also really interested at the part where, like Hassan, when you spoke about the challenges faced by the youth not having enough opportunities to not just only tertiary education, I mean, also like having the O levels and all that, but also talking about having the soft skills part. I mean, if the refugee youth are facing difficulty to get the hard skills, then soft skills is even like more difficult to get, specifically for the like girls, because they're having competing responsibilities and expected to do more at home and so on. So I mean, my hope for the youth will be to specifically here in the refugee here in Malaysia is to have platforms and programs that are facilitated and supported by different NGOs to give this opportunity for the youth to design and discover their skills, discover their passion, and also actually lead to create a project that makes a difference into their communities. And it will always like be more sustainable if the solution comes from the communities themselves. To see young people create solutions for problems in their communities, and I mean, obviously they're from the community, so they know more what are the needs. It's really really powerful to actually see that happen. And regarding also having like both the local youth and the refugee youth work together, that'd be really really interesting to see as well. As we were discovering, we will launch a blog on integration soon in our website where we discuss what is it like integration here in Malaysia and all that. And then we also like I'm saying to you now, but you can read the full article hopefully in October, the 1st of October. Basically, how it will be really, really valuable to see youth, like local youth and also refugee youth work together to bridge between the communities and actually to learn together the soft skills and create solutions together to the issues. And that will be really powerful to see as well.
So, I think we have a question from our audience. Dr. Lin has attached it in the chat box. I'll read it to you guys. I think this is for Abeera, I think. But maybe if Hassan has any way to add, maybe you can add in as well. Used to be that long ago, international education was a form of foreign aid. This is now collapsing after COVID. PSU receiving funds from Australian government. Has this situation now changed funding opportunities such as these? Yeah.
Hmm. So the question states about how there's no more funding and how Facebook works to get more funding.
Yeah, I think that's the question.
Yeah. So I mean, the first grant that we've got, it was for 2008, 1 year. It was just to develop the app and initiate the training program and all that. After that, I think we had a break about 6 months. We didn't have any funding coming in, but we were lucky enough to have our partner, funding partner, Refugee, to pay for the rent of this space that we use. It's actually a shared space between us. And then after that, we didn't have any funding to create the youth leadership program, so we did it with the resources that we have. And then while doing that, we also got a grant from Colibri to like basically it's a learning platform such as Coursera, but it's starting to develop now, and they give us like 10 laptops to give to these students to learn from. Because the youth leadership program has like two part, like online and also like self-learning and so on. Yeah, so and then after that, we our third grant that we got early 2000, no, mid 2019, and then it was ending in 2000, also like 20. It was to create that part, version 2 of the app, which is the Community Connectivity Fund project. And then since then, until now, we don't really have funding, but we're still just working with the space that we have and also the resources that we have. And we realized that to get funding is really a challenge, but we do have like people supporting us to look for funds and funding, including our funding partner Fiji and also host. We're also partners with them. So yeah, that's like.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Abeera. Thank you, Hasan, for your time today. We are at the end of our conversation. Uh, so I'll just read the questions that I have for you guys before we end the question before we end the web. Uh, what are your hopes and your personal your what are your hopes and personally for you and your refugee youth for the refugee youth in Malaysia? And adding up to this, maybe you can just tell us where can we like follow you guys in the social media to get to know more works that you guys do. Maybe I would personally want to go and check the projects that you're in, so we can just like tell the audience, and maybe we can wrap up from there. Yeah, maybe we can start with Hasan.
Yeah, sure. So whenever we have an event or a project that requires volunteers, we always post it on our social media. That is our main source of communicating with people, right, with audience. So you can search on Facebook. It's Al-Hasan Volunteer Network. Instagram, it's alhasan.vn. So yeah, you can follow us on either Instagram and Facebook. And whenever we have an event or project, we would post it there, and with all the details and information, contact numbers, so that you can sign up and register for that event. Yeah. So we have events, we have certain projects where you can volunteer long term and short term. A short term, which means, if it's a 1 day event, right? Long term, if it's like a 2 days, or if it's like, a month project, maybe once a week or twice a week. It really depends. So it really depends on you, your free time, and your own interest in what kind of project you're interested in.
And in brief, maybe your hopes, your personal hopes for yourself and for the refugee youth in Malaysia.
Um, for myself, I hope that I can become a better person. That is what I always look forward every day. But mainly, it would be to get as much of education as I can, skills and knowledge, so that the promise I made to myself is that one day I want to go back to my country and help rebuild it after the war. So that is the hope that I want to hopefully get. And for the refugees in Malaysia, I hope that there will be more opportunities for them. More NGOs and stakeholders will step in to provide this kind of opportunities and chances, especially universities, to step in and share their resources with the refugee youth. But not only that, I would hope that refugees themselves would be strong, resilient, and that to know that there are people out there like Abeera, Project Stand Up, myself, from other NGOs, Divya, yourself, Miss Rosa Slina, from all over different organizations, that we are there to support and to provide any kind of assistance that we can to you. So don't just let your problem, don't handle it by yourself. reach out to people that can help you, and that's what I hope for the refugee youth. Yeah, be strong.
All right. Thank you, Hasan. Abeera, same goes to you. Your hopes for yourself and also for the youth, refugee youth in Malaysia, and also where can we find get to know more about Project Stand Up? Yes.
So yeah, I mean, if I start with what I have hopes for the refugee youth here in Malaysia is one to actually hopefully see more young people like learning soft skills and designing solutions to help their communities and themselves and having opportunities to lead and then by example as well. And for myself, I hope to be a tool to facilitate that happen, hopefully with what we have in Project Stand Up and the programs we have. And and yeah, so how you can learn more about us is when we have a website. It's called standup.org. .squarespace.com, and you can also reach out to us through our social media. It's called Project Stand Up. So same name in Facebook and also Instagram. And we're hoping to launch another patch of LPA program soon. So if you're interested, if you're youth and interested to join, so you can also drop us a message on one of our social medias.
All right. Thank you, Abeera. Thank you, Hasan. Nice meeting you guys. I'll go and check you guys out in your social medias.
Yeah.
Hope to see you guys personally. And over to you, Dr. Lin.
Thank you so much, Divya. That was great. Thank you, Hasan and Abeera and Divya, for that amazing conversation. It's really very inspiring for me to listen to young people talk about the work that they've been doing. And I really like Hasan and Abeera's call for more continued conversation, cross conversation among different youth groups. And I hope Divya will also be able to join in, this effort to have these conversations across different, as Divya said, different borders, right? To get to know each other better as human beings, and the kind of work that you guys are doing are just amazing. That more people, more students, more youth need to know about it, so that we can learn and continue learning from each other. So thank you again for spending this afternoon with us. And thank you so much for all the audience members who tune in today. We'll have the recording up online also on our channel, so please continue sharing. And the next webinar series will be up next month, so we'll also be sharing more information about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on.